Plant pollination, an in depth look. Plants have remarkable structures that help to perform many functions. One of these functions is reproduction, or the creation of offspring. Plants reproduce through a process called pollination. This process depends on many factors, including the help of animals. Plant structures for reproduction. Pollination relies on a plant structure. Have you ever looked closely at a flowering plant? It has many parts. These parts contribute to a plant's reproduction by creating seeds. Seeds act as messengers that deliver genetic codes to a flower's offspring. But seeds can't be created without pollination. Reproduction in plants occurs when the male part reaches the female part to form a new seed. This happens in pollination. Female and male plant parts. Plants contain both male and female parts in the same organism. The female part of a flowering plant is most often found in the center of the flower. It is called the pistil. It consists of three parts. First, the sticky stigma sits atop the pistil. It helps to take in pollen during pollination. Second, the style is a pipeline. It leads to the third part, the ovary, which is the home of the female egg cells. The male parts of a plant are in the stamen. The stamen is made up of two parts, the anther and the filament. The anther has the important job of making pollen. Pollen is a grainy substance that contains male reproductive cells. The anther sits atop the filament, which holds it up. Parts working together to pollinate. All of these parts come together in the process called pollination. Pollen is transported from the male part of the flower, the stamen, to the female part of the flower, the pistil. Inside the pistil, the egg is fertilized and a new seed created. There are different types of pollination. When pollen is moved from a plant stamen to its own stigma, the process is called self pollination. Sometimes, pollen from one plant stamen is moved to a different plant stigma, but of the same species. This is called cross pollination. Cross pollination creates stronger plants. Of the thousands of plant species on Earth, each makes a pollen that is different from all others. Therefore, pollen from a different species of plant will not pollinate when moved to another plant stigma. Animal helpers. To help pollination take place, pollinators lend a hand. These animals move pollen from the male parts to the female parts. Many types of insects are pollinators. The most common are bees. Other pollinators include butterflies, moths, beetles, and even ants. Some flowers have bright colors or lovely scents that attract hummingbirds and other types of birds. These animals all help to move pollen to a location that is good for fertilization. You might wonder why these animals bother to move pollen around. Rest assured, there is something in it from them, sweet nectar. Nectar is a sugary liquid made by plants and found in the pistil. Its primary job is to encourage pollination by luring insects in with its promise of a sweet treat. Pollinators fly from flower to taste the sweet nectar. When they do guzzle down the delicious beverage, they bump into the anthers of the flower. This causes pollen to rub off their bodies. Then they buzz from flower to flower or flower part to flower part. As they do, they transfer the pollen to the pistil. The pollen travels down the pistil until it finally reaches the egg. When pollen touches the egg, fertilization occurs and a new seed is formed. Pollinators were built for this job. In fact, some animals have adaptations to accommodate their work as pollinators. For example, bees have built in sacs called pollen baskets in their hind legs to store pollen. Humans shouldn't take pollinators for granted. However, it is important that we take care of the earth and habitats for pollinators. Some, such as honeybees, are declining in population. This is due to habitat destruction and pesticide use. Many environmental groups are at work to help save these important helpers. Pollination matters to humans. Flowering plants need pollination to make new seeds. Without this process, plants could not reproduce. Humans rely on plants for oxygen, food, medicine, and many other resources. Therefore, pollination is essential to our world. Without it, most plants would not inhabit our forests, meadows, and gardens. When you see bees buzzing around, remember they and other pollinators are helpers to ensure that plants are with us for the long run.